Illinois, by a family who preferred the quiet of the country to the bustle of the city. From the time she was born, her mother Michelle knew she would have her hands full with Ashley.
Stubborn, very, very strong-willed, very independent, and had a way of getting her way even back then. She was smart, walked early, talked early, very intelligent child.
Ashley was a sweet, smart girl with a fun streak. At school, she was on the pep squad, the yearbook committee, and the community outreach program. She was that rare teenager who didn't give her parents headaches.
She was great. I mean, she was an honor roll student. She never really drank a lot or was into drugs or anything like this, and she was basically very responsible. She was just a typical teenage girl. She really was.
A typical teenage girl. And then she started hanging out with a young teacher named Sam Shelton from a neighboring school.
I actually thought he was a very nice guy. Took time out of his life to, after school, play basketball with students and, you know, keep them out of trouble.
But Sam Shelton wasn't going to the park to supervise a group of students. Increasingly, he and Ashley would get together there alone. At first, no one was alarmed.
I knew she was in contact with Sam. I knew she kind of had a crush on him. I thought it was cute, you know, because who doesn't have a crush on a teacher at some point? I really did, and I had no fear. He was a school teacher, and I just thought she had a little school teacher crush.
We always hung out with guys. It was just another guy. And it wasn't that she was keeping it from me, I don't think. I think it just never came up, you know?
There was a lot that never came up. Over a period of 2 months, Ashley and Sam would exchange hundreds of calls and text messages. No one realized just how much time they were spending together. Then, on April 27, 2006, Sam asked Ashley to meet him alone at Latterman Park. He said he wanted to talk with her about something important. Around 3 that afternoon, Ashley told her mother she was going for a job interview. But she was really headed to the park to meet Sam.
She said that she had a job interview, so obviously I would let her go use the car for a job interview.
Ashley didn't return home in time to watch her younger sister, and then she missed her 10 o'clock curfew.
It was always a rule that, you know, at 10 o'clock, if you can't make it, that phone better be ringing by 10 o'clock. Don't make me worry.
But that's exactly what Michelle did as the hours went by and the phone didn't ring.
Every horrible thought there possibly could be is going through your head and running it over and over and over, and you're thinking, oh, you know, this is the stuff you see on TV. This can't be, I may never see my child again. I may never know. And that is the most horrible feeling in the world.
Frantic, Michelle and her younger daughter, Casey, began looking for something, anything, that would help them find Ashley. Casey checked the family's cell phone bill.
And she opens it up and she goes, oh. And I go, what? And she goes, Mom, this is all the same number. And I said, oh. Well, I said, well, give me a phone, call it. Whose number is it?
It was Sam Shelton's number. Michelle called and spoke with him.
He was very respectful, very polite, reassured me that he was sure that there was nothing to worry about, that, you know, she probably just at a friend's house, lost track of time, run late. He even said, he goes, well, it's only 20 to 11. And I said, well, no, her curfew's 10, and she's never late for curfew without calling.
But in fact, Michelle Reeves had a lot to worry about.
Not gonna do that whatsoever.
Coming up next, Sam Shelton's words come back to haunt Ashley's family.
We're just driving back and forth down the road, and I just simply explained, I can't do this, I don't want to do this. I told her it's wrong in the first place. It was wrong the very first time that we did it.
When he graduated from grade school, he won every award there was to win. He was class valedictorian, most athletic. He got the Presidential Fitness Award. He did this, he did that. He was very popular.
Sam was the life of the party. He was an all-American type, admired by friends and adults.
He's a very good-looking boy. He's a very outgoing personality. He is the nicest person. I just enjoy talking to him so much.
Like Ashley, Sam loved sports. He won a dual scholarship to a nearby college where he excelled on the baseball field and in the classroom. After college, Sam followed his dream by becoming a high school teacher and coach. He landed a job in his hometown.
It was like his main goal in life was to be a teacher.
All the students seemed to love him. Hi, Mr. Shelton, very respectful of him.
Now a man in his early 20s, Sam was a charismatic teacher who spawned many a schoolgirl crush. He loved all the attention. His appeal even extended to neighboring high schools, including Columbia, where Ashley was a student.
He had something over the girls. I don't know what it was, but something.
The ladies loved Sam. Sam would always talk to the ladies, even tried to help me out in that department.
I think the way Ashley thought of it was we hung out with older guys, and it wasn't nothing. I think that's how Ashley took it, too.
And it turns out, Ashley wasn't the only girl or the only high school student in Sam's life. The coach liked to play the field.
He would take care of people. Like, there was something about him that, attracted women.
The teacher continues to pour on the punishment.
But Sam was no ladies' man in the ring. That's him slamming his opponent, moonlighting as a pro wrestler under the name The Teacher.
They loved to hate Sam. If he didn't get the booze when he first came out there, he would make sure he got him before he got in that ring. That's what he was trying to do to the crowd, to let them know, I am the teacher. You'll do as I say, when I say, and how I say.
Though he wasn't the greatest in the ring, Sam was a good act. His teacher persona captivated the crowd and attracted female fans.
They don't care if he's good guy or bad guy. It's the idea of getting close, and they're going, woo, Sam, the teacher, teach me this, teach me that.
Sam knew his relationship with Ashley was becoming too serious. He understood the danger and didn't want to put his job in jeopardy. So he made a fateful decision. He would break things off with her. He asked Ashley to meet him in Latterman Park. When Ashley didn't come home that night, a frantic Michelle called a cell phone number that appeared over and over again on the family phone bill. It belonged to one of Ashley's teachers, Sam Shelton. Sam told Michelle not to worry. He was sure everything was all right. But she was sure something was terribly wrong. And so she called the St. Clair County Sheriff's Office to report her daughter missing.
This one just felt different. You could just tell by the anxiety in the mother's voice and the urgency that there was something a little bit different about this.
Michelle spent a sleepless night waiting up for her daughter, but Ashley never came home. The next day, Ashley's car was found abandoned at Latterman Park, the park where she had met Sam. Police stepped up their investigation.
That added to the sense that something wasn't right. Most young girls, they're not going to go somewhere without their car, and nowadays they all got cell phones, and she wasn't answering her cell phone at all.
It had hit the 24-hour mark, and I knew she was dead, and I probably would never see her again. And so I just crawled into a hole.
With the tip from Michelle on the cell phone records, Sam Shelton immediately became a person of interest.
Well, most teachers don't have students' cell phone numbers. Although she wasn't a student at Freeburg, it was still a little strange. So I immediately sent 2 investigators out there right away to try to start talking to him.
Sam was getting ready to coach his baseball team when police pulled him in for questioning.
I would say that probably the first half hour that the detectives were talking to him, and we couldn't necessarily articulate specifically why, but through all the years of interviewing people, something wasn't right with this guy.
Detectives were suspicious of Sam right from the start. They didn't like the answers they were getting.
I really do not know where she is. I have no idea.
It was extremely tough. He felt very confident in himself.
Looking for a chink in his armor, detectives confronted Sam with the cell phone records. The records show he was in constant contact with Ashley over a 2-month period. Detectives pressed him to reveal the true nature of their relationship.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, no.
No hugging, no kissing, anything like
Well,
that?
I'd give her like a hug goodbye. I would do that. That's not sexual, is it? Give someone a hug goodbye.
Throughout the lengthy interviews, he kept changing his story. After hours and hours, he would add more information or change what he initially said.
We were sitting in there. You know,
Finally, Sam disclosed something the detectives suspected all along. He and Ashley were more than just casual friends.
we got touching each other, and we started doing that. Yes, we did have sex in the back of the vehicle there. And after that day, I felt absolutely terrible about that. I felt like almost like I took advantage of the 17-year-old girl. And one thing I did not want to become was a sex offender. So I just kept telling her about that, asking her, please, you know, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody.
Sam would only admit to being intimate with Ashley one time and continue to claim that he had not seen her the day she disappeared.
We know something happened to Ashley, and we know without a doubt, the investigation clearly shows without a doubt, Sam, that you know what happened.
I really do not know where she is.
Finally, after hours of interrogation by multiple investigators, Sam started to crack. His story changed. Now he told investigators Ashley had wanted a more serious relationship and that he had decided to break it off.
I called her back about 6:50, was talking to her. She went to meet up at Latterman Park about 3:45, 4 o'clock, somewhere around there.
When he said, I met her at the park that day, to me, that right there kind of gave me the uh-oh feeling that there's possibly something wrong here.
We were just driving back and forth down the road, and I just simply explained, I can't do this, I don't want to do this. I told her it's wrong in the first place. It was wrong the very first time that we did it. I pulled over there on the side of the road to talk because I could not stand to, she was screaming and yelling, I could not stand to listen to it. I got mad and I said, please get out. And she wouldn't get out. So I put the car in park, went over, I opened up my door, and I pulled her seatbelt off, and I pulled her, and set her out there.
It felt like that he had lied so much, he had been so deceptive, and we had caught him in those lies and presented those back to him, that maybe emotionally he was backed into a corner.
Open up her door.
More than 30 hours after Ashley's disappearance, Sam was ready to reveal what really happened to her. The details would be so horrible, the discovery so gripping, that detectives would talk about it for years to come.
She was screaming and yelling, I could not stand to listen to it. I got mad and I said, please get out.
Sam Shelton, dressed for a baseball game that night, was finally telling investigators about what went on between him and Ashley on the evening of April 27, 2006. He was about to say something no one wanted to hear.
I opened up her door, so boom, opened up, reached over, I hit the seatbelt button, unlocked the seatbelt, and she tried holding on to like my middle console. And anyway, I just went like this, and I just used all my force, and I just completely like drugged her out of the car.
Each grim detail became more disturbing.
I get her out of the car. I got her in like a little reverse belly to back bear hug position, squeezing and squeezing on her right there.
Sam was describing an emotional confrontation with Ashley that had spiraled out of control. According to Sam, he met Ashley sometime after 3 p.m. in Latterman Park, and then they went for a drive. When he told her he was breaking things off, Sam said Ashley became upset and started screaming at him. He pulled over and ordered Ashley out of the car. She refused. Then, the popular teacher turned violent. In a rage, Sam yanked open the passenger door, He said he put Ashley in a wrestling chokehold and dragged her from the car.
Tell me what happened, Sam.
Now, after 11 hours in the interrogation room, detectives had reached the moment of truth. They needed to know exactly what happened to Ashley.
She hit her head.
Neck.
Her neck, okay. Okay.
Pulled too hard.
Yeah.
I heard pop. And she just fell limp.
Okay.
She didn't move.
Okay.
After that, I just set her back in the car.
Okay. You set her back in the car?
I did the stupidest thing.
What?
I knew if I would take her to a hospital, it was so obvious.
Right.
So, I did probably something worse. I drug her to get a drug carrier. I stumbled half the time, falling into a wooded area.
Okay.
And I tied this thing around her neck to make it look like someone choked her out there.
Sam Shelton had just confessed to a murder. He told investigators he had strangled Ashley Reeves to death. Trying to hide his crime, Sam dumped her lifeless body in an area so densely wooded, there was little chance she'd ever be found.
I knew the spot was up a little bit farther than I told him as we drove.
But he was still reluctant to tell detectives exactly where he left her. They decided to let him cool off for a while to reflect on what he had done.
During the entire investigation, I would say leading all the way up to 5 minutes before he said he would, I didn't know if we were going to get him or not. We really didn't.
There was quite a bit of doubt in my mind that he was ever going to show us, where she was.
Investigators had to get Sam to reveal where he dumped Ashley's body. Captain Johnson, who knew Sam from his days in the scouting program, had been talking with the suspect like a friend. Now, he softened his approach even more.
No games.
It worked. Sam finally gave in.
She's still out there, Sam. She is. And where's it at?
I'd have to show you.
Now investigators began the grim task of retrieving the teenager's body. Since Ashley disappeared, the sun had set twice. The temperature had dipped into the 40s, and it had rained. With Sam in tow, the detectives drove through the chilly, wet night.
You got a grab on?
Detective Huntbell videotaped the whole search to keep a record.
Hey, Sam, come on down. Okay.
Sam directed them to a heavily wooded area, still wearing his baseball uniform.
We came down the bottom.
In the dead of the night, with the murder suspect in handcuffs, the detectives tromped through the vines, briars, and fallen trees to find the body of Ashley Reeves.
2340, dispatch 037, arrival 0.
Finally, around 2 a.m., they saw something in the distance on the cold, wet ground. As they got closer, it began to take shape.
Look around if I could get some light.
It was Ashley. Silent, limp, her arms splayed awkwardly by her side.
Dispatch 82. This is the missing female we're looking for.
8210-4.
Detectives had been working the case for more than 24 hours straight. As they gathered around Ashley, they were so exhausted they thought maybe they were seeing things.
Keep breathing. Get EMP. Get EMP.
Incredibly, Ashley was still alive.
Ashley, can you hear me? Ashley, can you see me? Can you see my light, Ashley? Can you see that? Can you talk to me?
Detective Hundle who was shooting the videotape, rushed to hold Ashley's hand.
My first initial thought was, I saw her chest rise, and I thought, is that some kind of an illusion from the light? It was a complete, overwhelming feeling of adrenaline, and I started screaming, she's breathing, she's breathing.
It was rainy, it was cold. After 30 hours out in the woods, she took a breath while we're standing there. And it was unbelievable to all of us. It probably changed the way we work every case.
Okay, we got EMS coming. We got EMS coming, okay?
Now the mission had changed dramatically. This was no longer a recovery. It was a rescue.
Can you see our light? Be careful, watch. Okay, go try to find the closest route to the road. Wherever you can. Stay out there to direct them in. He's still alive.
But Ashley was barely clinging to life. Her neck looked broken, and she was unresponsive. They knew they'd have to get her to a hospital fast if she'd have any chance to survive.
Ashley, can you squeeze my hand? Can you squeeze my hand?
Paramedics jumped into action. Using chainsaws, cleared a path through the woods to an ambulance. It was an heroic effort, but it took an hour Ashley could hardly afford.
I didn't have a whole lot of faith that she was going to survive the trip to the hospital. I've seen a lot of people in the process of dying, and at that point it was really hard to tell with her.
As soon as a trauma happens, the clock starts ticking at that moment. If you're taken care of in the emergency situation within an hour's time period, your survival is much better. So we call it the golden hour, and in Ashley's case, being unconscious out almost 36 hours itself carries an incredibly high risk of dying or having serious complications.
My concern was that she may not make it through the night or may not make it through the next day, couple days or so.
When they finally got her to the hospital, Ashley was in desperate condition. Doctors needed to act swiftly.
They were primarily concerned with any life-threatening injuries, but they had a lot more to deal with, the fact that she was very cold and the fact that she wasn't responding neurologically. So they were probably concerned about her oxygen, getting the oxygen flow back to her brain, rewarming her slowly, and trying to prevent any other further injury, which can often happen after this type of trauma.
Ashley's survival was in the doctor's hands now, but detectives still had another tough job ahead of them, telling Michelle Reeves what had happened to her daughter.
It wasn't until after I got to the hospital that they had told me that she had been strangled. And they said she'd been strangled 3 times. And there's no blink response or pain response or anything. And you're thinking, this is bad.
She had so many things going against her. She had a pretty severe brain injury. Statistically, her chances of surviving that incident were very, very low.
But Ashley surprised everyone. She made it through the night. She survived.
Right here.
Years after surviving the brutal attack, Ashley is now talking about what happened to her.
I want to know exactly what happened to me.
In her first national television interview, Ashley Reeves shares her remarkable story with us. Once you knew what had happened to you, did it allow you to understand what a miracle it is that you're alive today? With the support of family, friends, and medical staff, she battled her way back from her life-threatening injuries.
I'm trying to think of the words I'm gonna use.
In an exclusive interview, she agreed to tell us what happened. Once you knew what had happened to you, did it allow you to understand what a miracle it is that you're alive today?
I've never really looked at it that way. I mean, I've been told it, and I kind of just, you know, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. I was just doing what I thought I needed to do.
We're gonna take care of you, okay?
But miraculous is the only word to describe Ashley's survival. She had spent more than 30 hours alone, face up on the hard ground. She was critically injured, exposed to the cold, the rain, completely vulnerable to the dangers of the night.
She really broke the rule of statistics as far as surviving.
The first few days in the hospital were touch and go. Though her neck was not broken, Ashley's brain was dangerously swollen. Her family thought they would lose her, but Ashley clung to life and began to move.
When the movement started, it was foot drop, like you see in coma patients, their arms going like this, and then she started screaming, and she spent probably a week like this, screaming at the top, just screaming. And it was the most horrendous thing I'd ever seen in my life.
She had suffered a major injury to her brain, not so much in terms of bleeding, but more in terms of a lack of oxygen to her brain that had some profound effects on her ability to think, to move her body, and to interact with people.
For several weeks, Ashley lay in her hospital bed, a prisoner in her own body, unable to speak.
If I had an itch, somebody else had to scratch it. If I wanted a drink, somebody else had to get it. If I wanted to eat, somebody else had to feed me. Oh, it was hard. And I remember laying there and just crying. The first thing I really remember was my aunt saying to me, I know you're in there, I know you can hear me, and I'm tired of this. I want you to quit acting like this, and if you can hear me, bite my finger. So she put her finger in my mouth, and I heard every word she had to say. So I bit her finger as hard as I could. I said, I'll show you. I thought in my head, I'll show you. And she goes, I knew you were there, I just knew it.
Each day was a struggle. One of Ashley's biggest challenges was learning the reality of what had happened to her.
You asked investigators.
As Ashley recovered, she pressed detectives to show her pictures taken shortly after the attack.
This is the picture of you where your head is in a brace.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember anything, but those are the only pictures that they would show me. They said the rest they didn't want me to see, simply for my own well-being.
Why was it so important for you to see these pictures?
For the longest time, I didn't want to believe that Sam did it. And it was like, he did this to you. He tried to kill you. And I wouldn't believe it, and I felt that I needed to see for myself.
The picture of Sam became darker with each painful detail. Detectives eventually told Ashley that after Sam left her for dead, he went out line dancing at a local country western bar.
Oh, very, very aggravating and just hurtful. He was one of my good friends, and he dumped me in the woods and went dancing. And just didn't care what happened to me at that point, didn't care what my family was going through, didn't care.
Sam was doing more than line dancing that night. After the attack, he was also text messaging one of his girlfriends, another student from Ashley's high school.
We've had several families come forward, and he's had numerous relationships with other young girls.
Now that you've been told some of the details about what happened to you physically, do you have any idea what would have made him hurt you that way?
None. None whatsoever. Ultimately, I don't think there is anything that I could have done to even set anybody off like that. But as far as I remember, me and him never even argued.
So you felt really comfortable with him?
Though Sam told police he had had sex with Ashley, she denies there was anything physical between them. She has a very different version of events.
So you never had any interest in him beyond just a friend, a basketball buddy?
I guess kind of in time we grew closer because we did hang out and play basketball so much, but never as far, because I was in a serious relationship at the time.
So do you think he wanted more out of the relationship than you did?
He had all kinds of girls he talked to. It wasn't just me. There was several of girls he talked to nonstop during the day. So I don't know if that's what he wanted. I mean, maybe I thought about it, but as far as for sure that's what he wanted. I don't know.
Ashley was sure about one thing. Sam wanted to keep the relationship quiet.
Well, that's another thing. He wanted to keep it very secret that we were spending time together and playing basketball together. If the principal found out or one of the other teachers found out, then he would be in trouble and he could ultimately lose his job.
Dispatch 82. This is the missing female we're looking for.
After the news broke about what Sam had done to Ashley, he would lose much more than a job. The attempted murder of Ashley Reeves divided the close-knit community. Loyalties were challenged. Many still held on to the image of Sam as the all-American boy. No one, perhaps more, than his mother.
It was hard. I was thinking my son couldn't have done this. Then I was getting confused about what was the truth because so many stories were going around. It was horrible. I don't know how I managed and still managed to keep myself together.
It's terrible what happened, and as soon as that happens, you know, you think of her family, how she's doing, and then you're like, you know, poor Sam. And it's weird how this whole thing affects, you know, not just the two people involved, but the families and friends on both sides.
Some people vilified Ashley. There were rude, cutting remarks, people blaming the victim. Frightening prank phone calls were made to Ashley's mom.
There was a very few evil people out there that knew exactly what chains to pull. You know, after what I went through, for anyone to call me and say, "Do you know where your daughters are now?" and hang up just would terrify me.
It's always, poor Sam, poor Sam. I'm the one who's being mistreated. I'm the one who's been through it, you know. I'm the one who's got it hard here. And I don't think he'll ever understand what he ultimately, in the end, did to me.
Coming up next, Ashley struggles through a painful rehab. While Sam Shelton, the man who attacked her, faces attempted murder charges. In a St. Louis hospital, Ashley spent months relearning things most of us take for granted.
Rehab was tough. And with Ashley, with the recovery, it's like doing a whole new baby book over completely again. It's you know, the first smile, the first giggle, the first word, the first step.
Brain injury and neurological trauma is absolutely devastating. From speaking to walking to trying to remember things and interact with people. That's all lost when that part of the brain is deprived of oxygen.
She understood what she wanted to do, but she couldn't do it. So I think knowing what she wanted, but then knowing that she really had some major disabilities was very challenging and could be very frustrating when she was trying to say that first word or take that first step.
She was very confused. She was disoriented. She didn't understand why she was the way she was. And so she was very agitated and she was very distrustful of people. So she was very anxious for those first few days because, you know, she had been victimized.
And I told my dad, I said, "Dad, I just want to go home. I'm tired of therapy. It hurts, it's painful. Just why I want to go home." And, "Well, you can't go home." I said, "Why?" I said, "You're my dad, take me home." And me and my dad just had a moment and cried, and he said, "This is the best place for you. They're gonna help you get better, then we'll go home." And that was probably the hardest time of it all, for sure.
Ashley's injuries robbed her of the life she once knew. She couldn't run, had lost most of her coordination, and had trouble speaking.
It's really tough. A lot of people say that you're never the same after that. You know, you can learn it again, but you're never quite the same.
How much I care and just...
But she took solace in the thousands of letters of support people sent her during her long recovery. She always keeps them close by.
I wanted to send you a note and let you know that we're all thinking of you and praying that you're making lots of progress.
Those letters helped Ashley to somehow find the strength to go on. She slowly regained control of her body and her life. One of her proudest moments came 2 months after the attack. when she crossed the 5K finish line at this fundraiser for her mounting medical bills.
Well, whenever I was cheering and then all my friends started crying, it was very overwhelming, and I think I probably started crying too. It was just very exciting, and I knew that I was getting somewhere, and I knew that I could do this. And all these people are here to back me up. They don't care that how you look. They don't care that you're in a wheelchair. They're here to support you. It was just very re-energizing, more or less.
Meanwhile, Sam Shelton's lawyers claimed his confession could not be used against him in court because it happened before he was read his rights.
Sam, anything you want to say at all?
But a judge ruled against him. The damning confession would be allowed as evidence. With his strongest legal maneuver dismissed, his job gone, his reputation in tatters, Sam Shelton attempted suicide by overdosing on pills. After being hospitalized briefly, he accepted a plea bargain. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison for attempted murder.
We had no choice. Sam picked, well, I'll take the 20 years if that's what it's going to be. It was terrible.
Sam's mother knows her son did a terrible thing, but she says he's still a good man, a loving son.
One is for me and one
That's
is for
who she sees in the letter she gets from prison. She read one for us.
It says, "Thank you for being the world's best mama. There's not even a comparison. Every year you won the Mother of the Year in my mind. Love you, Mama." That's the boy I know. And that's the boy he is today.
If you could face Sam Shelton today, what would you say to him?
What were you thinking? Why did you do that? I mean, it's crossed my mind 1,000 times. I'll lay in bed and just think, well, is there anything I remember that would have made him do that? And just think and think and think. And I cannot think of anything. I would just ask him why.
Many connected with the case still don't know what to make of Sam. They have a hard time squaring his reputation as an all-American boy with his vicious attack on Ashley.
It does seem like Sam maybe is two different people. When we talk to family and friends, everybody loved him. But then you look at this situation of what happened and the gruesome nature of it, knocking a female out, strangling her 3 different times with a belt, dragging her out into the woods, and then that night to go country line dancing and to text other females with how much you care about them and you really like them a lot, it doesn't seem sane to me.
Come here, Chaser. It's still just... boggles my mind, more or less, that I could be dead right now. Like, there's no other way to put it. Ready?
Ashley has made remarkable strides. After years of painful rehab, she simply wants to move on with her life. And she's doing just that. Back in the places she loves, taking life one day and one step at a time.
What makes you happy today?
The fact that I know I can do what I want to do. And I am going to do what I want to do. I know that I have a house that I can go home to, a loving boyfriend, and a loving dog, so I'm going to go home to. Bring it home. Good boy. Drop it.
Incredibly, Ashley says she harbors no resentment. Sam Shelton may still haunt her on occasion, but she says there is no way that's going to stop her from reaching her dreams.
I'm not going to just sit down and give up and just end my life here because you tried to end it for me. I'm going to do what I want to do in my life.
The air was crisp. It was a perfect fall night. And the quaint little town of Pleasant Valley was gearing up for Halloween, just 3 days away. 48-year-old Susan Fassett left church choir practice at 8:45 that night to head back home. She started up the engine of her Jeep Cherokee when an unknown assailant pumped 6 bullets into her and drove away. New York State Police were the first to respond to the scene.
The windows had been shot out. Rounds went through the car. There was a fair amount of blood here at the scene. And Susan was rushed off to a neighboring hospital.
No one understood why Susan Fassett would be the target of such a brutal attack. The church-going mother of 2 had a reputation for being kind and giving.
Susan was a good person. You know, her sons were getting into their later teens, and I think, as most people do, you start to undertake, you know, activities, the choir. She had a beautiful singing voice, according to her sons.
Police questioned witnesses and gathered evidence at the crime scene. 6 bullets had entered Susan's body. A 7th was embedded in the car door.
It really had the markings of a very passionate murder, in the sense that it was just brazen. I mean, there was no attempt to cover it, to hide it up, to lure the victim to a secluded place. It was just done very violently, very fast, and very in the open.
One witness reported seeing a car speed away from the scene. Police traced the car to Susan's husband, Jeff Fassett. He was a local cop, so police knew he had a gun. They also knew the couple didn't have a perfect marriage.
My father had caught her cheating, caught her having an affair, and had confronted her about it. I just remember my mom crying a lot, my dad being upset.
Jeff Fassett quickly became the prime suspect in his wife's murder. Police thought the getaway car was his. He had a motive, and they learned something else.
He was out of his house. They'd seen him there at the police station getting his paycheck. He left, and 10 to 15 minutes later, they heard radio traffic indicating a murder had taken place nearby. These were all red flags, and that's what started the ball rolling.
It was the next obvious step to go to the Fassett residence.
Soon after Susan was shot, police surrounded the Fassett home. Jason Fassett was inside with his father and brother. He said none of them knew his mother had been shot.
Across the street, I noticed these 2 unmarked police cars. And my father being a cop my whole life, I definitely could spot an unmarked police car. And I looked in the cars, and there was 4 officers, and I knew something was going on.
Jason told his dad about the unmarked police cars, and a suspicious Jeff Fassett called his station to find out what was going on.
There was some confusion and some hustle, and then they hung up on him, which was not normal. So he called back again and got somebody else who kind of gave him the same runaround and then hung up on him. So my father being a cop and having that 6th sense of something's not right away started to know something was going on. I remember him looking at me and looking at my brother, and then just saying, like, under his breath, he's like, "I hope your mother's all right."
Jason assumed his mother was still at church and called there looking for her.
Right away it was, hold on, Jason. And they put someone else on and asked, "What's going on? Like, where's my mother? Let me talk to my mother." And this man told me that my mother had been shot.
For Jason, it was one of those moments in life that becomes frozen in time forever.
Hearing that your mother has been shot is one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my entire life. It stops everything right in its tracks. All of life just grinds to a halt, and everything becomes very still and very quiet. I just remember giving the phone to my father and telling them that Mom had been shot.
Things at the Fassett home were getting more tense. They tried to talk with Jeff Fassett, but he wouldn't come to the door. A SWAT team arrives, but police want to act with extra caution. They're dealing with one of their own. Inside, the Fassetts didn't know what to think, so they hunker down.
My father, thinking the way he did, didn't know what was going on, so he had us draw the blinds and turn the lights off in the house. And then after that, I could see outside much better and could actually see the SWAT team trying to sneak around my house.
When the house went dark, it alarmed police, but they still didn't move in. It became a standoff.
We didn't understand why there was such confusion. You know, even if my mom had been shot, like what, tell us something then. Is she alive or dead or at a hospital? Can we go? Like, give us anything. And that never happened.
After a tense 2.5-hour standoff, a hostage negotiator finally convinced the Fassets to come out of the house.
We got led out of my house one by one with our hands on top of our head by multiple gunpoints, handcuffed, and then put face down in the middle of my driveway.
Jeff Fassett and his 2 sons were taken to police headquarters and interrogated all night. Then investigator James Carrick gave Jeff Fassett a lie detector test. They pressed him to learn more about his marital problems.
He had discovered his wife was having this affair. He had suspected it for some time, but he had hooked up a tape recorder, I believe on September 19th, and tape recorded a phone conversation she'd had with this town official, Fred Andros. And whatever was said on that tape was damning. They had a big fight. She was very sorry. She cried a lot.
Despite that stormy argument, Jeff told investigators that Susan wanted to end the affair with Fred Andros and save their 24-year marriage.
Within a week or so, things started to soften between them.
The couple even took a week off of work to focus on their marriage.
They had both agreed to stay together, to work on the marriage. And that last month was definitely the happiest I think I've ever seen my parents.
He had ordered matching wedding bands to celebrate this renewed love that they had found, and they seemed to be back on track.
As a new day approached, Jason still didn't know if Susan was alive or dead. Finally, he got word.
Someone had come in and had sat down with me and said, you know, your mother was shot and she was killed.
After being grilled by interrogators, Jason now had to deal with the horrible news of his mother's death.
It was pretty hard. I remember there being a lot of silence. My mom was awesome. My mom was one of my best friends. She was a really good mom. She was a really nice person. So for her to be shot, it just didn't make any sense.
Even though he had been released, Jeff Fassett was still a suspect in the murder case. But before he left police headquarters, he had some parting words.
He said to me, look, I don't care what you do to me. You put me under hot lights, you beat me with rubber hoses. You do whatever you want to do, but when you're all done with me, go see Fred Andros. He's behind this.
Coming up next, as family and friends mourn Susan Fassett's death, a bizarre story, one that would rock the close-knit community of Pleasant Valley, begins to emerge. Later soon had another reason to turn away from Jeff Fassett as their prime suspect. In the chaos following the shooting, someone reported seeing a car speed away from the scene. A license plate check tied it to Jeff, but it actually belonged to his wife's blood-stained Jeep, not a getaway car. Police turned to their only other lead, Susan Fassett's lover. That man was Fred Andros, a big player in the neighboring town of Poughkeepsie. He had a reputation for being a ladies' man.
My assignment was to find out everything about Fred Andros.
Investigator Art Boyko was familiar with the name. The 60-year-old Andros had held a powerful position in the town of Poughkeepsie's water department and had recently been convicted of some federal corruption charges.
He certainly seemed legitimately upset over the news of Susan, and he seemed to dearly care for her.
Andros admitted to the affair and said he still loved Susan. And even though he had a rock-solid alibi, police felt this was a guy that they needed to talk with at length. Over 2 months, they ended up interviewing Andros on 19 separate occasions.
Never really gave answers to questions, had very little to offer, and was caught in a number of little lies.
He told police he had been married 3 times, when in fact he had been married 4 times. He said he had 4 children, when he really had 7. Andros did admit to his affair with Susan, but he said it was all in the past.
He stated that the relationship had been over for some time and that he really hadn't spoken to her for a while.
Andros insisted that for more than a year and a half, he had not been intimate with Susan. Why? Because he was impotent. But investigators quickly realized Andros was lying.
We had our narcotics people surveil him. He was, on a daily basis, picking up prostitutes in the city of Poughkeepsie. That he said he was impotent, but he was out there picking up prostitutes.
Then the autopsy results came in. Semen was found in Susan Fassett. She had had a sexual encounter with someone 24 to 48 hours before she was murdered. Police went back to Susan's husband, Jeff.
I had to ask him when the last time he had had relations with Susan. For an absolute elimination, I had to ask him for blood.
DNA testing proved the semen was not Jeff's. The next step was to get a DNA sample from Andros, but he wouldn't volunteer a sample, so police hatched a plan.
I met him across the street from his house in a parking lot. I brought him lunch, which included a drink and a straw, and that was going to be the device to get a DNA sample from him.
Even though it was an unseasonably warm day, Boyko kept turning up his car heater until Andros finally started drinking water.
He had to abandon it for it to be lawful for me to seize. So I spilled a soda on my lap, asked him for his drink of water so that I could rinse my suit, and he turned it over to me.
We then had his DNA. That was sent away, and we received confirmation that it was, in fact, Fred Andrews' semen in our victim.
The test results made Andros the lead suspect and finally cleared Jeff Fassett of his wife's murder. But nothing about the case was simple. Andros was also set to testify in a federal corruption case. He worked out a plea deal for a lesser sentence on extortion and bribery charges in exchange for testimony. Federal authorities in that case were facing a huge problem. Andros was their key witness, and they needed to present him as truthful and honest.
The federal government would not put Fred on the stand in a trial if we knew he was lying in another criminal investigation.
Federal agents interrogated Andros themselves, trying to learn more about Susan Fassett's murder.
During this interview, he was not being forthright at all, and it was after a couple hours, he kind of broke down and he said, "I had sex with her 3 days before she was murdered."
Investigators continued to push him. Andros insisted he didn't kill Susan. Finally, several hours into the interrogation, Andros made a startling confession. He said he knew who had killed Susan.
He says, "I think a lesbian killed Susan Fassett."
The story sounded even crazier than Andros' previous lies. But Andros tried to convince them that this time he was telling the truth. And then he gave them a name.
And he put his head down and he said, Dawn Silvernail shot her. He said she shot her 6 times with a .45 caliber weapon. We contacted Art Boyko from the state police. He obviously didn't know who Dawn Silvernail was at the time, but he said that's exactly correct in the number of shots and the caliber of weapon.
Investigators turned their attention to Dawn Silvernail, an acquaintance of Fred Andros who worked with the disabled.
Andros had given the FBI her name. He had said that she was involved in a lesbian relationship with Susan Fassett, and that Susan had broken up with her, she was enraged, and she had killed Susan with her .45.
On December 23rd, James Carrick arrived at the Silvernail home with a search warrant.
I explained that a woman had been shot in a church parking lot, and that we were looking at all people that owned .45 caliber handguns.
According to Carrick, Dawn was helpful. She agreed to go to police headquarters for further questioning. At the station, she acknowledged knowing Andros. She said she and Andros were just friends. When police said Andros accused her of killing Susan, she emphatically denied it.
She was very calm and collected, almost too calm. Absolutely not, that's ridiculous. I could never hurt anyone. I asked her about this lesbian affair. I'm repulsed by that kind of thing. I would never, ever participate in anything like that.
Police confiscated a gun they found in her home and did ballistics testing.
The barrel of Dawn's gun had been altered, so there were no markings left in the gun to be able to match back up to the bullets that we had submitted from Susan's body.
The fact that the gun barrel had been altered was a huge red flag for investigators. So a few days after Christmas, they brought Dawn back in for questioning.
She finally said, look, I wasn't telling you the whole truth before about things with Fred, and he was more than a social acquaintance. We got into this whole thing where they had had sexual relations, that he had somehow taken control of her.
It all started to pour out. Dawn revealed the details of a sordid and bizarre 20-year relationship with Fred Andros.
Over this period of 20 years, he had been lending her money, and he was in a position to get it back by saying, hey, Dawn, now I want you to have sex with a friend of mine.
Investigators were stunned at the amount of control Andros exercised over this seemingly bright and articulate woman.
She said, I didn't tell you the truth about this lesbian thing. He had called me one day and said that he had a friend that had fantasized about having a sexual affair with another woman. Would I be interested in doing something like that?
Dawn said that at first she wasn't thrilled with the idea of being with another woman, but Andros offered to pay her $350, and Dawn agreed to meet her. She was Susan Fassett.
She met her, and the three of them had a three-way sex on that occasion. There were as many as 5 occasions when the three of them did this. One occasion was videotaped, she said, at one of the water treatment plants.
The interrogation had reached its moment of truth. Dawn said Andros had a sinister hold on her. She was terrified of him, and she had done a terrible thing.
And I think at that point that her shoulders rolled forward and her head dropped, and she...
Fassett's confessed killer. But why did she do it? And did she act alone?
You never once asked your question, what right do I have to kill another person, an innocent person? What am I thinking about doing here?
Coming up, my exclusive interview with Dawn Silvernail. Dawn's motive for killing Susan Fassett baffled police. She said she had nothing against Susan. In fact, she says even though she was involved with Susan sexually, she hardly knew her. Dawn says they really had just one thing in common, a twisted relationship with Fred Andros.
I hate the thought that he did this to me. I hate the thought that I'm here. I hate the thought that she's dead.
Dawn claims it was really all about Fred Andros. When she pulled the trigger, she said she was doing Andros' bidding. In an exclusive interview, she told us all about it.
This man he was extremely manipulative. He was a weasel. Fred liked to have people owe him favors. It was a power thing.
And Dawn owed Fred big time. She said he lent her thousands of dollars over the years. Andros offered to wipe out the debt if she would kill Susan. It was more a demand than a request, and he soon started to amp up the pressure and make threats.
That he had sent somebody to follow and take pictures of my family and tell me, wouldn't it be a shame My son, standing out on the loading dock of the factory where he worked with no house around, was involved in a drive-by one night with the machinery noise in the factory. Nobody would hear. That's when the threat, the actual threat, became real and palpable, and I could taste it. And that's when I really got scared of Fred.
Dawn thought the threats had credibility because Andros had a reputation for being a tough guy, and he bragged about having mob connections. She agreed to kill Susan. You never once asked your question, what right do I have to kill another person, an innocent person? What am I thinking about doing here?
I don't think I ever asked that question. All I asked was, what can I do to save my family?
Did you ever think about shooting him and not her?
Not until afterwards. I was running on fear and adrenaline, and I didn't think about that till after the fact.
According to Dawn, she spoke with Andros several times to plan the murder. They drove around scouting locations. Dawn then started stalking Susan, trying to find the right time and place to kill her. And nowhere in that period of time did you think, you know what? I don't have to do this. I could drive to the police station right now.
No. All I could think of was Fred's words, do it or else.
You can't, even with the number of years you've had to relive every minute of this plot and its execution, you haven't arrived at any greater understanding of how he was able to manipulate you to the extent that he did.
No.
That must be very troubling to you.
It is.
On the night of October 28th, Dawn drove to the church parking lot and saw Susan's car.
I sat in the car waiting for Susan to come out of the church. She came out. I was parked next to her Jeep. I sat there with the gun in my lap. She got in her Jeep. She shut the door. She started the vehicle, and she went to reach for the seatbelt. And I turned around, and I pointed the gun at her, and I shot 2 shots. And then I shot 4 more shots, and I dropped the gun on the seat, jumped in the driver's seat, and ran away like a coward. And I left her there laying in the dirt.
What did it feel like when you gripped the trigger of that gun?
Probably the worst feeling I've ever had in my life.
Dawn slid from the passenger seat to the driver's seat and sped away from the church. Was the world spinning around you at that point?
There was no world at that point. My world was over.
2 months later, police came calling. Dawn confessed to killing Susan, and she was arrested for murder on December 28th.
We have arrested Dawn Silvernail, age 50, of Earlton, New York. She has been charged with murder in the 2nd degree.
When all this went down and she finally admitted to all this, I was never absolutely certain whether she regretted the murder.
Whatever soul-searching Dawn was doing didn't matter much to police. They wanted hard facts to button up the case against Fred Andros, and Dawn gave them exactly that. She told them Fred Andros ordered the hit. Police got a search warrant and headed to the Andros home.
He wouldn't answer the door, he wouldn't answer his phone. Eventually, his teenage son came to the door. He said, no, my dad's not here. And I told the son, well, we have to come in, we have a search warrant.
As investigators made their way through the house, they became more suspicious. They found Andros' wallet, his pager, and glasses. But where was Andros?
I announced myself, calling Fred. Fred, it's Art Boyko, I need to speak to you. Fred, are you here? There was no reply.
Investigators stopped once they got to the attic. The door was open, just a crack.
I knew it was Fred, so I decided to walk up the stairs. I told Fred, I said, I'm coming up. I got towards the top of the stairwell when I heard a gunshot go off.
Up in the attic, investigators made a grisly discovery.
You could see Fred lying face down, suffering from a gunshot wound to the face.
Andros had shot himself in the chin. The bullet exited his face through the bridge of his nose, right between his eyes. But he was still alive, and police wanted to get a confession from him.
Most people normally don't survive from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the face or the head. So certainly I didn't think that the hopes were great for Fred. So I was trying to get whatever admissions I could from him.
At the emergency room, the Andros family stood vigil, waiting for news from the doctors.
They still didn't know what was going to happen, if he was going to be able to talk, if he was going to be able to see.
Police stood watch outside Andros' room for several days. When he finally came to and was able to understand what was happening around him, police hit him with some news.
I said, Dad, there's 2 officers sitting outside of your door. You've been arrested.
Eva wanted to believe her father was innocent and tried to get him to talk to her.
First I said, did you do it? Did you kill Sue? He said, no, I absolutely didn't. And he was home the night of the murder. I said, did you have anything to do with it? I had nothing to do with it.
He told police the same thing, but they were not moved.
Both Fred Andros and Dawn Silvernail did abide and abet each other in the commission of Susan Fassett's murder. He will also be charged with murder in the 2nd degree.
Coming up, with 2 suspects in jail, prosecutors prepared their case against Fred Andros.
When you have a trial that involves adultery, a murder, a sexual tryst in a water department basement, you're going to attract a fair amount of people.
As prosecutors prepared their case against Fred Andros, family and friends of Susan Fassett mourned the loss of the woman they knew and loved.
She made other people happy. She brought a light with her that could change the feeling in a room.
Jason learned about his mother's affair with Andros after her murder. He had worked for Fred and was best friends with one of his sons.
He definitely had a reputation in the town, and it wasn't in the best light. He was definitely accurately portrayed as this slimy little gangster wannabe.
Andros' trial started a month after his arrest.
I had the feeling of the show trial in the small town. When you have a trial that involves, adultery, murder, political corruption, sexual trysts in a water department basement, you're going to attract a fair amount of people.
Dawn Silvernail was the star witness against Fred Andros.
No one is going to like her or what she did. First of all, she's involved in 3-way adultery. Second of all, she's connected to Mr. Andros. Third, she sat in a church parking lot for 45 minutes and waited for a woman that she had nothing against and fired every bullet she had at her and killed her and drove away.
During the trial, Dawn stuck to her story. Andros made her do it, and she had to reveal intimate details of her complicated relationship with him and Susan Fassett.
He called me on the phone, and he told me that he had this friend, this lady friend, that he had been dating, who had indicated a desire to have sex with another woman, and he wanted to let her have that fantasy. When I look back on the way she reacted the first time I met with the 2 of them, I don't think it was her idea. I think it was his idea.
Did she seem repulsed by it?
No, but she didn't seem like she had had a fantasy about any such thing, because he was telling her what to do.
And he was there the whole time?
Yes. Yes, he was.
And then he got involved with both of you?
Well, basically with her more than with me, but yes. To me, it wasn't like I was in love with either one of them. It wasn't like it was a thrill. It was something that, it was like a task.
Dawn claimed that Fred had videotaped one of their encounters in a water pumping facility. But police were never able to locate the video. In her testimony, Dawn painted a picture of things for the jury.
You and Susan never had any phone contact with each other?
No.
Any personal contact at all?
None.
Just only when the two of you were with Fred?
All the contact was with Fred. I never spoke to Susan outside of when the three of us were together, ever. In fact, the investigators went through everything. They took my computer, they searched my computer records, her computer records, they searched everything. The only contacts were between him and me and him and her.
The only common denominator there was Fred Andros, and the only contact Dawn and Susan had with each other was when Fred was the common denominator. It was instrumental in corroborating Dawn's story.
Dawn testified that she and Andros had spent weeks plotting Susan's murder once Susan had ended the relationship with Andros. The deliberate and carefully planned shooting stunned jurors.
No one left that courtroom feeling warm about Ms. Silvernail.
Including Dawn herself. The enormity of what she had done hit her when she saw Jason Fassett in the courtroom.
I had such feelings for this boy sitting in that courtroom. It was awful. And I think that's when the full weight of everything I had been involved in and that I had done hit me like a ton of bricks, because that boy sat there and listened to every word. And I will never forget it. I won't forget that night for as long as I live, if I live to be 100. And I will never forget the look on that boy's face in that courtroom, ever.
Dawn completed her testimony against Fred Andros. His fate was still to be determined. But Dawn felt her own fate was sealed the night she pulled the trigger and killed Susan Fassett.
My life ended October 28th, 1999. I should have been in the dirt right alongside her. Right now, that's where I feel like I am. But I can't change it. It's done.
Coming up, Fred Andros takes the stand.
Instead of him firing the gun, he fired a more dangerous weapon, which is a thinking, murderous person named Dawn Silvernail.
When On the Case continues. Fred Andros was facing a possible lifetime in jail if convicted of murder in the second degree for his role in Susan Fassett's death. Even though Andros didn't pull the trigger, prosecutor Ned McLaughlin was determined to get that conviction.
Instead of him firing the gun, he fired a more dangerous weapon, which is a murderous person named Dawn Silvernail.
Andros' daughter, Eva, still supported her dad and attended every day of the trial.
I stood up for him. I backed him. I said he didn't do it.
Andros was on the stand for 2 days.
I expected, frankly, better explanations for some of the things that I thought made him look guilty, and he didn't have that many.
Andros stuck to his story. Dawn had acted alone, and the three-way sexual tryst she described simply never happened. He claimed he loved Susan Fassett dearly. In fact, he said they had never broken up and admitted to having sex with her just 2 days before her murder. But under cross-examination, Andros had trouble remembering anything else.
I'd say the number one answer he gave was, I don't really remember that, and I don't recall that. I think he tried to use the injury to his head that he had caused by trying to kill himself.
But I was thinking to myself, Dad, if you want to win the jury over, you're not going to being like that. As a matter of fact, I gave him a thumbs down that day after he left the courtroom, after they questioned him.
I don't think he helped himself. He came across as weak and not very credible, both in his telling of the facts or his supposed affection and adoration for Susan.
The prosecution zeroed in on what motivated Andros to kill Susan. They said it had nothing to do with the story he told Dawn.
What he keeps telling Dawn that it has to happen right away. It has to happen tomorrow and the next day. Susan has a meeting with the federal government, and Susan is going to let everything out of the bag. There was no such meeting between Susan and the federal government. So obviously, it was his way of motivating Dawn, because he's not going to tell Dawn, I need you to kill somebody because they dumped me.
The prosecution made it all seem so simple. In the end, Fred Andros was just a jilted lover. Susan ended their affair, and he couldn't take it.
After the relationship with Mr. Andros ended, and she started to come back with her husband and her family and stop being deceptive, many of her friends said it was like the old Susan came back. There was a new light in her eyes. There was a new spring in her step, so to speak, you know, that she was out from under this cloud.
After a 4-week trial, the jury found Andros guilty.
When that foreman said guilty on conspiracy to commit murder, he shook his head. Guilty on second-degree murder, he just shook his head like he couldn't believe it. My heart sank. I felt sorry for him.
Without me, they probably couldn't have gotten Fred, and I was glad to do it because he needed to pay for what he did. I'm paying okay, but he needed to pay too.
Fred Andros received a sentence of 25 years to life. Almost 2 years later, he had a heart attack and died in prison. He was 63 years old. Eva had believed in her father and supported him throughout the trial. Since his death, she sees things differently.
I think he did charm his way into Dawn's mind somehow and commanded her to do something for him that she didn't exactly want to do. I don't think he ever felt hurt. I don't think he ever felt pain. I don't think he was sorry for anything that ever happened.
He didn't get to pay for his crime. He wheedled out of it like he did everything else. And that's really sad.
And you feel that every day?
I certainly do.
Jason Fassett still keeps a vision of his mom far removed from the terrible way she died.
At her funeral, actually, one of my friends told me that she could still hear my mom laughing. And as soon as she said that, I could picture my mom's face smiling, and I could actually hear her laughter in my head. And I remember that being one of, like, it was one of the most comforting things that anyone had told me.
After years alone in a jail cell, Dawn Silvernail has had plenty of time to reflect on what she's done.
How much remorse do you have about murdering Susan Fassett?
I have lots of remorse. I live with this lady in my 7 by 11 or 9-foot cell every day of my life since this happened.
You see her face?
I dream this thing. The worst 6 seconds of my life were when I shot that lady in that parking lot.
6 times.
And if I could put the bullets back in the gun and redo what happened, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Jason has had to come to terms with not only his mother's death, but the woman who killed her.
It ended her life just like it ended my mom's in a way. And I think that one day I could forgive her. Because, like I said, she's just a tool. She just got used, just like my mom did. It all just looks and feels like a movie or like TV, except that the woman that got killed was my mom.
A dramatic escape from the county jail.
There was helicopters up in the air. There was law enforcement running all over the parking lot, flashlights in the wooded area in the back, and it was like, what's going on here?
Tracy Humphrey was running for his life and running from a world of trouble.
I think he, most of all, knew the potential for him to really serve some serious prison time. And because of that, I think he started to panic.
Humphrey was a personal trainer in Tampa, Florida, a strapping young man with lots of issues.
He had used a lot of steroids and human growth hormone, which had, bulked him up a lot, but it also given him some attendant anger issues and problems with his personality.
Tracy grew up in Iowa, where he got into some trouble and served a short stint in jail. Then he moved to Miami, Florida, where he was briefly married and had a daughter, but that didn't last.
I know they had a domestic situation where the police were called, and I know that the SWAT team was called out to try to extricate him from the house.
Tracy served 3 years for kidnapping, assault and battery, and grand theft auto.
I know that prior to one of his prison terms, he beat a girlfriend in the middle of the night, apparently attacked her while she was sleeping.
He also had several orders of protection filed against him by former girlfriends. That didn't stop him from trying to intimidate them.
When the women initiated either a breaking up or a separation of some type, to where he kind of says, "You're not leaving me, I'll make that decision."
By all accounts, Tracy was a top-notch personal trainer. He also did an excellent job of keeping his past life hidden and reinventing himself.
He said he was a professional football player with a local Tampa Bay Buccaneer football team. He said he was a male model, that he modeled underwear in Paris. Every story he would tell you would be a fabrication. And he convinced a lot of people that these things were true.
But Tracy's fabricated resume, or maybe his biceps, seemed to make quite an impression on women.
He was surprisingly successful with his personal training, and there were women out there who just thought he was great. They loved him.
Tracy Humphrey is an opportunist, and he will take what he wants from anyone that he can get it from.
Soon, he set his sights on Sandra Razzo. He convinced her to help him get a job moonlighting as a bouncer at the club where she worked as a bartender. Sandra came from a small town in Pennsylvania. She did some modeling and worked as a flight attendant. By the time she moved to Florida in the 1990s, she had overcome a bad marriage and was working hard to provide for her daughter.
So she seemed to be a loving mother, and she had a lot of friends, a ton of friends.
Tracy Humphrey became one of those friends. But according to some, he wanted a physical relationship with Sandra and started to turn up the pressure. He frequently called her a tease and said she needed to pay up for the way she acted.
He wanted to be more than friends. She didn't want that, and she wasn't comfortable with that.
Sandra was learning firsthand what other women had gone through with Tracy, but nothing prepared her for the sheer brutality of what came next. On Friday, February 22nd, 2002, Tracy convinced Sandra to let him stop by her apartment after a late shift at work. The moment he got there, he turned violent.
He pushed his way onto her and into the house and physically assaulted her.
Tracy then tied Sandra up and screamed that this was his day and that he was going to get the respect that he deserved.
He kept beating her and hitting her. It was hurting her so bad, punching her in the face. She couldn't get away from him.
The bulked up 6'3" Tracy Humphrey kept Sandra in the apartment and tortured her all day Saturday and into Sunday.
He sexually assaulted her, and when she woke up, he told her that he had copied all of her personal information, to include information from her address book.
With the names and numbers from Sandra's address book in hand, Tracy delivered a chilling threat.
He said, "You can run, but you can't hide." And he told her, "I will kill you and all of your family."
Then Tracy made a sudden and dramatic turn. He began to cry and begged Sandra for forgiveness. He gave her ice packs for her swollen face and then surprised her again.
He took a razor and held it to his throat, and he cut himself slightly, and he said to her, "We'll just have to tell people we were in a car accident together," to explain away their bruises.
After 2 long days, Tracy drove Sandra to work and told everyone his story about the car accident.
She was humiliated She was mortified that that would have happened. In fact, she cleaned that apartment, took out her bed sheets, her bedspread, everything. Towels, whatever he would have used, anything, and threw it all away.
But 5 days later, Sandra summoned all her courage. She called the Hillsborough County Police and reported the attack.
He was not arrested for the sexual assault. They ended up charging him with the physical assault. One of the reasons was because Sandra had waited so long to report it, they had a hard time proving the sexual aspect of the crime.
It's just pretty simple. Here's my bruises, and he's the one who did them, and so he certainly had a lot to fear from that charge.
Tracy Humphrey posted bail and was released, charged with felony battery. He was staring at a court date that was set for August of 2003, 10 months away. As for Sandra Razzo, terror became her constant companion. She moved across the bay to St. Petersburg, changed jobs, fended off threatening phone calls from Tracy. Despite it all, Sandra told her mother she would do whatever it took to put Tracy behind bars.
She was pressing charges on him because she had found out that there had been other cases. And every time they'd just about get ready to go to court, all charges got dropped. She said, I don't want him to do to anybody what he did to me.
Up next, Tracy Humphrey meets someone new.
He came over, he's like, I'm gonna be your personal trainer.
And plots to silence Sandra Razzo.
She did everything right. She did all the things that police tell you to do, and he didn't care.
Ellis Park Police Department caught the case. It was 11:30 on July 5th, 2003. There had been a shooting.
We didn't really know what we had. We did know that we had a woman who was gravely injured under suspicious circumstances.
It was what she feared the most, and now it had happened. Sandra Razzo was found shot in the garage of her new apartment. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital.
When we got there, all the doors into the house were locked, but there was a black BMW parked in the garage. There was a fair amount of blood that you could see outside. There were shell casings, there was broken glass.
Sandra had been shot in the front seat of her car. To investigators, it appeared she had been shot first through the driver's side window.
The shots hit her everywhere, all over her body. It looked like from the evidence and from some of the shots where they had gone, like the foot area, that she might have been trying to push herself back towards the passenger seat. But she was trapped in that front seat area and she had no way out. Never had a chance. Never.
Sandra Razzo was pronounced dead at the hospital just a few hours later. Now, investigators had a homicide on their hands. Back at the crime scene, Detective Andrews was trying to piece together the evidence. But he had no witnesses. No one heard the gunshots or saw the shooter.
It's a relatively quiet neighborhood. Again, it's 4th of July weekend, so hearing those types of noises might not have been out of character for that time of year.
And there was no surveillance video, only shattered glass, bullets, and a lot of blood. But within a few hours, detectives would have their first lead. It came from Sandra's mother.
I said, there's only one person and he's threatened her. He's threatened to kill her and all of our family. I said, she has a court hearing with him.
And his name was Tracy Humphrey. Across town, police investigator Ellison Smith arrived at the same conclusion.
I found out Sandra was murdered July 6th, the day after she was killed. We called Pinellas Park to make sure they were aware of the pending trial. So he was the primary suspect almost immediately.
As soon as we knew he was a suspect or somebody we needed to talk to pretty quick, a couple of detectives actually did make face-to-face contact with him the next day. He said he would love to talk to them, but his attorney had advised him against it.
So detectives kept working the case, interviewing everyone in Sandra's address book.
And still a lot of people were pointing back towards him. But through that process, about learning about who he was, we found out that he had gotten married the day before the homicide.
It was the 4th of July, the day before Sandra Razzo was murdered, and the day Tracy Humphrey got married to Ashley Laney.
I wasn't really interested in anything serious.
but he had a strong magnetism about him. I was extremely attracted to him.
Ashley was 19 years old when she met Tracy Humphrey. He was 36. It was 2002, just months after Tracy had been arrested for the assault on Sandra Razzo. Ashley worked across the street from Tracy's gym, and she walked in one day to start working out.
That was when I met Tracy. He came over, he's like, I'm gonna be your personal trainer, and stood over me. And he was, you know, this huge, attractive man. And I was like, there's no way I'm working out with him.
But Tracy persisted. He even offered to work out with Ashley for free. For Ashley, it seemed as if Tracy had come along at the perfect time. She was trying to make it on her own, but needed help.
I was really at a point where I was like, I give up. I just want someone to take care of me. And I saw him, and he was older than me. He was more mature. He looked like he had his life together.
He's apparently very charismatic. Plus, he was also a liar, a tremendous liar. So he could be someone that he wasn't, which made him more appealing, and probably to Ashley, maybe slightly glamorous or exciting. I'm sure she saw him as someone who was going somewhere.
And soon after they met, Tracy told Ashley his version of what had happened with Sandra Razzo.
He told me that he had dated this woman, Sandy, and he wanted to break up with her. And when he told her that it was over, she flipped out and just went completely psychotic and injured herself. He convinced me that this woman lied on him.
Even though he never said anything about the violent assault, Tracy did admit to Ashley he was facing criminal charges and that he was out on bond.
I was so naive that I didn't know what being on bond meant. I had no clue that this man had been arrested and had paid money to get out of jail and wait for his court date. I did not know the meaning of the word out on bond.
Tracy would continue to exploit Ashley's innocence, and over time, he would begin to control many aspects of her life.
Before I knew it, I was wearing the makeup he wanted me to wear, styling my hair the way he wanted it styled. I was wearing the clothes he wanted me to wear. Every aspect of my life was controlled.
When investigators found out about Tracy's new bride, Ashley Humphrey, they were very anxious to talk with her. They waited until Tracy was out of the apartment.
When they talked to her, she seemed very nervous, whether it was from she was being sick or whether it was that she was just nervous. A couple times she left to go throw up. But she did give a statement about what was going on that night, the night of the homicide, that she and Tracy were home, that they had a friend over, that they had pizza.
The friend that Ashley said had come over for pizza was one of Tracy's physical therapy clients, Toby White.
It was the Monday after the murder. I didn't know anything about it until I went into the gym that day to train. And he took me in the back room and he informed me that Sandra Razzo had been murdered.
And did you know Sandra?
I knew of her name, but I did not know her. There was something different about him that night. I just had an eerie feeling when I went in there. We were in the room alone, and he said, I need you to be my alibi, and if you don't go along with it, I don't know what I'm going to have to do. It was pretty clear to me what he meant.
What do you think he meant?
I think he meant that if I didn't go along with it, he'd have to kill me.
But he never used those words.
He did not use those words at that time.
But certainly implied it.
Yes.
To you.
Tracy asked Toby to lie.
And then Tracy had a very elaborate plan, did he not, that he wanted you to share with anybody who asked you about his whereabouts? About
yes.
What did he tell you to say about a pizza delivery? And
yes, he had a pizza that he called for. I believe it was around 11 o'clock. I think it got there at 11:30.
Toby agreed to go along with the story. She told police that the three of them had been at the apartment the night of the murder and that they had ordered pizza around 11:30.
Shouldn't some red flags have gone off at that time?
Yes, absolutely.
Up next, Tracy turns up the pressure on Toby White.
I felt he was basically threatening me.
And she considers turning the tables on Ashley and Tracy.
He said, this is when it begins. Now we have to deal with the police questioning us. And he coached me almost on a daily basis of what to say, how to act. And he actually said, you know, I don't owe you anything. And I said, I know. And then at another point, he said that if I wanted him to kill anyone, that he would.
Tracy had a history of manipulating women, and he was still at it, not just with his new bride, but with a woman who was directly in his crosshairs, the couple's friend, Toby White.
When you were questioned by police the first time, did you consider yourself pretty well rehearsed by Tracy?
Yes.
How did he prepare you for it?
He wrote down a statement of everything that I needed to say.
And did he work on it with you?
Yes. We basically went over it about every night.
She stuck with her story that she was with Tracy on the night Sandra Razzo was killed, that she had shared a pizza with him, and that Ashley had come and gone throughout the night.
So you really had no problem in going along with him?
Well, I didn't want to go along with it, but I felt he was basically threatening me because he was so sure he'd be arrested for it.
What is it you were most concerned about? Your own physical safety or his potentially harming someone in your family?
I would say both.
Then, Toby and Tracy's story began unraveling, unable to hold up under the scrutiny of a homicide investigation.
Yeah, we ran down everything that we could from that statement, which was very helpful because the pizza guy was able to say, yeah, that was Mr. Humphrey. I recognize him. That's the guy I delivered the pizza to. He was in the apartment. There was nobody else there.
The pizza delivery man's statement meant that Tracy was home alone the night of the murder. There could be no alibi witness. Ashley wasn't there, and neither was Toby. Investigators also began to track Tracy and Ashley's cell phone records on the day of Sandra's murder.
It showed not only the volume of calls, but it's the fact that we were able to pinpoint the location that the phone calls are made.
The calls from the cell phone were made from just outside of Sandra Razzo's apartment. Police learned that any calls in that area had to ping off the cell phone tower, located just a mile away. Then they made a startling discovery. The cell phone that made the calls didn't belong to their prime suspect, Tracy Humphrey. It was owned by 21-year-old Ashley Humphrey, and she used it to call Tracy's cell. Suddenly, police had a suspect, Ashley Humphrey, Tracy's bride. Police believe that the owner of that phone had participated in the murder of Sandra Razzo.
The timing of the homicide to the timing of the call is just within minutes. From the time we know where she last spoke to Tracy to the time Sandra got home, just within a few short minutes, she's calling Tracy and letting him know that this homicide has occurred.
Investigators were able to put together a detailed PowerPoint timeline of all of Ashley's movements that night.
I think there was 20 phone calls or more coming from the location where Sandra worked. After Sandra got off work, we knew what time that was. We then were able to trace those phone calls across the bridge into Pinellas County. We were then able to trace those phone calls from Pinellas County and right outside the home of Sandra.
During her first interview with police, Ashley denied having anything to do with the murder.
You know this lady, Sandra?
No, I don't know her.
Have you ever met her?
No, sir.
As for Tracy, police were certain he was home during the shooting. The pizza delivery man's story had already proved that. But investigators now believe both Tracy and Ashley had somehow acted together in Sandra's murder. They pressured the couple's friend, Toby White, who they knew had lied for them, and it worked.
She contacts us and says, I'm scared, I want to talk to you guys. And so we go meet with her.
Ashley and Tracy had no idea Toby was meeting with the police that day, but the two were increasingly suspicious. They guarded Toby like hawks.
They usually had somebody with me almost all the time. They didn't let me out of their sight very long.
They were that afraid?
Yes, yes.
That
normally one
break
or both of
down
them were with me all the time. So that by the time I came home that evening, they were very nervous. I could see the look on Tracy's face. He started writing notes to me. Did you get picked up by the police? Have you talked to them? Where have you been all day?
Tracy's suspicions were well-founded. Toby White was about to flip. Toby would now become a critical link in making the case against Ashley and Tracy.
So then we decided to utilize her. We put a wire on her.
Toby agreed to help police tape Ashley and Tracy, hoping they would incriminate themselves.
What I'd like to do now is play a small part of the surveillance tape where you have confronted Tracy and Ashley with some of the information police had given you about how they had the cell phone records of both of them, and they could place where Ashley was physically the night of the murder. Let's play it now.
Oh, why didn't you tell me that before? That was one thing.
I didn't tell you that?
No, you never told me that.
Oh,
No, you just told me that her phone record showed shit.
It showed like 2 or 3 times it was bouncing off,
When she was
towers. And one of them was right about when she was killed.
Oh my God.
So when you heard Ashley say, "Oh my God," were you pretty convinced they were both nailed?
Yes. It basically indicated that they thought they had everything taken care of and they didn't think of the cell phones.
But investigators needed more proof if they were going to be able to convict Ashley. The police decided to put more pressure on her. They contacted Ashley's mother and David Abernathy, her mother's live-in boyfriend, who gave investigators a dramatic piece of evidence.
And then Mr. Abernathy says, "Oh yeah, she told me she was scared of somebody who was threatening her, and I let her borrow a gun." That happens to be a .22 caliber Ruger that fires the same kind of bullets that we found at the scene.
Police had the cell phone records, the wire recordings, the story about the gun. On December 18th, 2003, Ashley Humphrey was arrested and charged with murder.
Do you understand what you're being arrested for?
They said the murder of a woman that I don't know. I was just like, there's no way they have enough evidence on me. I had to just make it through the weekend in jail and I'll get out.
She was wrong. The case against her was shaping up nicely for police.
You're the one who borrowed the gun from David Abernathy and never gave it back to him. The shell casings that were found at the scene of the crime and the bullets that were pulled from Sandra's body were tested here at the FDLE lab, okay?
But the case against Tracy was still weak. They arrested him on a gun possession charge and were holding him in the Hillsborough County Jail. The murder charge for now was all Ashley's.
And what's gonna happen here is Toby's gonna cooperate and Tracy's gonna tell us the truth. And you're gonna be left holding a bag on this homicide.
And you know why? Because that's exactly the way Tracy wanted it from the beginning.
She had a first-degree murder charge. Capital case where she, if convicted, will get life in prison without parole or face the death penalty.
The murder weapon had not been recovered, and there were still no witnesses. But thanks to modern technology, police could put Ashley at the scene of the crime.
They were alleging that they could trace telephone calls from her cell phone from the scene where the victim left her work over the bridge, where the victim lived. That was not good.
As for Tracy Humphrey, investigators kept him in lockdown. They knew that without Ashley's cooperation, it would be tough to convict him.
We knew Mr. Humphrey was the primary character. We knew he was the puppet master, so to speak, that he was pulling the strings in the case, and we didn't want him to get away with murder. We felt that without Ashley Humphrey's testimony, obtaining enough evidence on him was going to be difficult or next to impossible.
Detectives decided to dramatically ramp up the pressure on Ashley. They brought her in for another round of questioning and surrounded her with key pieces of evidence.
So we made posters and we dummied up a room and Ashley sat in that room. She could see the accumulation of evidence that we had.
They also gave her a new way of looking at the man she was protecting.
We had photographs of Tracy from when he was in prison. We had photographs of some of his prior victims.
I was so confused about everything, so they just started bringing me evidence of, this is not who this man is. He said this, and this is not true. This is, you know, he's not a model, he is a convict.
Investigators showed Ashley that nearly everything Tracy had told her was a lie. But the one that hurt her the most was a sexual secret Tracy had kept from her.
The biggest thing for me was my hairdresser's deposition saying, look, this man is gay. He told you that, you know, he was straight, but he is gay.
One guy I spoke to called him the gay Mr. Clean. That's what he called him, okay? And he looked like that, bald, big, and gay.
It was the final straw. The full weight of Tracy's deceptions crashed down on her. Ashley finally cracked. She pled guilty to shooting Sandra Razzo and agreed to become a witness for the prosecution.
The offer that was finally decided upon was 25-year minimum mandatory, and that's the deal she ended up with.
Ashley began to tell them everything, that Tracy had coerced her into killing Sandra before she testified.
That was what he wanted. And he said, okay, but if you don't do it, then we're over. And I said, I'll kill her for you.
And she had a surprise for the police. She told them that she had attempted to kill Sandra months before.
The first time that I tried to kill Sandy, I had stolen a gun from my mom's boyfriend. And it was an old Chinese rifle. I went to a shooting range to practice using it because I had never touched a gun in my life before.
It was all part of a carefully detailed murder plot that was put together by Tracy once he decided Sandra had to die.
We had found out where she worked, and we thought we knew where she lived. We had discussed on how to disguise myself so I wouldn't get caught. He actually wanted me to look like a black crackhead. I had brown contacts. I had this costume paint from the Party City store. I had baggy clothes. I had on shoes that were too big. I had put so much hairspray in my hair to keep any hair from falling out, leaving DNA evidence.
Then, after weeks of preparation, it was time to put Tracy's plan into action.
I sat in my car and waited for her the day she was at work. And I threaded the rifle through a pair of pants so no one would see something so obvious as a rifle sticking out of someone's car. And I shot at her when she came out and missed. Just by a few inches.
The shot went through her passenger side mirror. Sandra heard the shot, and she ducked down. We don't know exactly what went through her mind at that point, but obviously, probably a gun like that is loud, and it probably startled her.
And I was gonna try again, but the gun had jammed. So I called Tracy, and I was scared to death that what his reaction would be.
She should have known. His immediate reaction was intense anger.
He was irate, and he was just screaming at me, "Get back here, just get back here."
Tracy told Ashley to drive away and find a place to destroy all the evidence, including the one possession that meant the most to her.
He made me burn my car, and he never really liked me having that car. We had argued about it before, so I think that was another way of taking something away from me.
Ashley was convinced the police were going to arrest her for attempted murder. As for Tracy, he was more determined than ever to kill Sandra Razzo before she testified. Ashley was his weapon of choice. But after that first attempt, the pressure became too much for Ashley to bear. She considered suicide.
I had a couple $1,000s in my bank account, so I was gonna just drive all over, spend my money, have fun, see a couple things, and then kill myself when I ran out of money.
She made it as far as Georgia, then abruptly turned around and drove back to Tampa and showed up on her mother's doorstep.
I confessed to her that I had tried to kill Sandy, and she wanted to go down to the police station and just turn him in and, just tell them the truth. And we're in the middle of discussing this, and he shows up at the house looking horrible, and it looked to me like he'd been crying all night. So he said to me in the driveway, "I love you, I can't live without you. I promise you I'll marry you tomorrow if you just come home with me."
It was a ploy that had worked with women in the past, and Ashley bought it. They were married by a notary public in the gym where they worked on July 4th, 2003. A 4th of July wedding would mean fireworks for most people, not for Ashley. Tracy had plans for her honeymoon, and it would be like no other. Coming up, will Ashley Humphrey's chilling testimony put her husband behind bars for good?
I told him it was done, and he said, get rid of everything and come back home.
She's a killer. She is a killer. She took the life of another human being and did it in a cold and calculated manner. Would she have done that but for Timothy Humphrey? No, I don't think so.
Ashley had shot the woman Tracy wanted dead, and she seemed set up to take the fall for him.
Tracy thought he was going to get away with this crime. He knew that Ashley was going to get caught, okay? Deep down inside, he knew that, okay? That's what he did his whole life. He had other people take the heat for him.
He will never take responsibility for his actions. He is a sick individual, and I regret everything that I did for him.
Ashley agreed to testify in front of a grand jury about Tracy, hoping to finally make him accountable for his actions.
For me, it was important to testify against him because he was going to walk. He was going to be a free man. He was going to do this to someone else.
For prosecutors, Ashley's cooperation was the last piece of the puzzle. On March 20th, 2004, Tracy Humphrey was indicted for first-degree murder.
And he had kind of a look of disbelief when we told him, you're being indicted for the murder of Sandra Razzo. And his statement was, you've got a scared 19-year-old girl bent over a barrel. He was shocked that he was indicted for that crime and that she was talking to us.
Tracy Humphrey's master plan had collapsed. If convicted, he faced life behind bars. During a transfer to a new prison, Tracy made an audacious escape.
In one of the more stunning parts of this story, Tracy was actually able to escape from prison. Do you think he might have tried to come find you?
Yes, I do.
What made you, or makes you think that?
Because I don't think anybody challenges Tracy or does anything against him. He takes it very personally. I think he would do something just purely out of revenge.
Tracy was on the loose for 3 hours. Police combed the swampy area around the county jail complex. When they spotted him cowering under a bush, he tried to run again and put up a fight.
Tracy might be a big dude, but the sheriff who went in to go get him is much bigger. And that mugshot of Tracy with, black and blue eye and cut on his head proves that that sheriff definitely won that fight.
The trial opened on Valentine's Day 2006. The state laid out its case, with police methodically recounting the night of Sandra Razzo's murder.
They actually turned right here at this traffic light coming down this way and made this right into this complex. According to Ashley, Sandra actually drove left of this median and pulled into her garage, which was right here. Ashley actually drove on the right side up this way and then made a U-turn and walked right in the garage.
And then the moment of truth. District Attorney Fred Schaub called his star witness, Ashley Humphrey.
To hear this young girl describe in detail how she took the life of another human being and not really show much emotion in her delivery of what had taken place, I think the jury found it stunning.
She tells the story much like she did on the stand that day.
I took the gun, and I noticed she had her window rolled up, and she was getting into her purse and about to exit the car. And I tried to smash the glass with the butt of the gun, but it didn't break. I remember thinking the safety is on, I had to turn it off. And I turned it off, shut the glass, and I remember his words in my head, aim for the head, aim for the heart, aim for something that's gonna kill her. So I remember aiming for those spots, and I just remember her screaming. I remember him telling me that I had to make sure she was dead. I had to look her in the eyes, and that image will never leave me. I looked her in the eyes. I looked at her eyes. She was gone. It was just a blank stare.
She didn't have a chance. She didn't have a chance. How could you do this to a human being that you have never met?
Cell phone evidence showed how Ashley stalked her victim through the night.
She filled in all the gaps, all the phone calls that was there. She explained what those phone calls were all about.
And then the final call to tell Tracy she'd completed her mission.
I think it was 11:13 at night. I remember looking at the clock in the car. And I told him it was done. And he said, get rid of everything and come back home. And I actually did tell him I wanted a pizza.
The very much debated pizza delivery is, in the end, a chilling postscript to a night in which two people had just ended a human life.
It didn't feel real. It didn't feel like it was really happening. It felt surreal. It felt like a dream.
Ashley also testified about where the guns and the clothes were buried, and she described receipts for the dozens of items used in the crimes. Ashley's testimony was devastating to Tracy's case and painful for her.
Testifying was extremely difficult. Seeing him for the first time, knowing what I did about him, you know, getting past everything that I had been through with him, having to face him was extremely hard.
Toby White, the woman who had served as Tracy's alibi witness, also testified. Already terrified of Tracy, she quickly lost any sympathy for Ashley.
I would like to try and understand what she was going through, but I can't get past the fact of what she did.
And it wasn't like that was the first time she thought about killing Sandra.
Correct.
And how do you view Tracy Humphrey today?
Evil, pure evil.
Tracy's defense attorneys did their best to counter the state's case. They stood by their story that Tracy was nowhere near the scene of the murder.
He tried to say that it was all Ashley's idea, that everything was Ashley's ideas, and that he really didn't want her to do that. But it was her, she wanted it.
Then the defense played its ace. Tracy Humphrey took the stand, but it didn't go as planned. Many in the courtroom were shocked by his appearance.
He was a shadow of his former self. I mean, he just dropped like 80 pounds or something. He was very skinny, pale, and wearing glasses, and sort of had some wispy hair that had grown in.
Well, you know, he always thought he could sell the jury. His life is a con. He thought he was going to be able to con the jury and smooth the jury, and you know, he tried to be very compelling, but the jury read through. The jury saw that he was a con man.
On February 27th, after 13 days of testimony, the case was handed to the jury. It deliberated for just 2.5 hours and returned a verdict. Tracy Humphrey was guilty on all counts.
He was found guilty of first-degree murder, and he was given life imprisonment, which in Florida today, life imprisonment is life imprisonment. He will die in prison. He will die in jail.
Because she had pled guilty, Ashley Humphrey had already begun to serve her 25-year mandatory sentence. She has no chance for parole.
I don't feel bad for myself. What I did was horrible. I don't want anybody to feel bad for me.
They took my daughter away from me. She was beautiful. She was the family connection. She's the one that kept the family together. You know, they say you're supposed to forgive people. Even in time, I couldn't forgive.